Hey everyone, Heather here, and I wanted to make a video contributing to a conversation that I feel like is happening based on my YouTube feed or my YouTube recommendations, and that is this trend that YouTube creators are leaving the platform. They're quitting YouTube, they're quitting their channel, whatever. YouTubers are leaving. I haven't actually watched any of these like goodbye, farewell videos. I've just watched the commentary videos, the videos about the YouTubers quitting. I don't know any of the YouTubers that are quitting, or I don't watch them. I don't subscribe to them. There's been a lot of videos that have popped up in my feed about this idea that YouTube creators are leaving. We should take a look at that because that is kind of a strange thing. It does kind of seem like there's a correlation. And what can we take away from that, especially if we want to continue being a YouTube creator, if we want to continue to grow? Is this some kind of sign that, is this a reflection of the platform or what it means to be a content creator? Is the future of being a content creator at risk? These are all kind of different topics that have come up in these commentary videos. So first of all, if you're new here, you're going to take a look at my subscriber count and be like, 11,000 subscribers. Like, who are you to, contribute to a conversation about big YouTube creators leaving? But the fact is that I've been doing YouTube full time. I have been a full-time YouTube creator since day one, like since I started my journey on YouTube in 2016. I have been doing this full time. So I'm always going to have the perspective of you do not need a silver play button or gold play button or a huge audience to do this full time. So I know that I'm going to have a unique perspective, but also the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I do think that a lot of creators look like me in terms of they're not necessarily huge channel. They make either a substantial amount of part-time income or supplementary income, I should say, or it's their full-time job, but they don't necessarily have a team. They don't necessarily have a gold play button. They don't necessarily have or they don't necessarily look like these channels that are leaving YouTube. Now, in the past, I've referred to this group, myself, my husband, Tom Buck, I've called us the creator middle class because I don't know what else to say, but it's like there's the, YouTube creators that are, say, 0 to 1,000 subscribers or just starting out. And then there's the 1 million plus subscribers, but then there's everyone else in between. And in my opinion, I can't actually verify this, but I'd be willing to bet that these big creators that are leaving do not represent the majority creator or even the average creator of someone who creates on YouTube. I think that these big creators, yes, they have big audiences, but most creators don't have big audiences. I think most creators are someone 50,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, 500,000 subscribers. You could do a lot. You can make a lot of money. You can have a huge impact. You can have a lot of influence. Even though your channel is relatively small. I know we're working with numbers that just don't make sense. So I understand what I'm saying. But my point is that it may seem like it's a trend of people leaving YouTube. But here's what I think is happening. I think they're leaving YouTube because it's normal for someone to leave a job after a certain amount of time, especially after, say, 10 years, or especially after you have gotten to the top. This is a very normal thing that happens to many human beings. They leave jobs. People leave jobs all the time. People pivot in their career all the time. I feel like it's strange because we are seeing this happen now on YouTube, but I also think that this is the first time that this could have happened because YouTube hasn't been around long enough for someone to have had such a diverse career until now, because it's just, that's how young the platform is in the scope of, the amount of time that a person could be in the workforce. Let's see, before I became a YouTube creator, I would say I had 3 career jobs that weren't just like the part-time job after school or whatever. Like in my adult life, I changed jobs 3 times. One of those times I was laid off. And in most of the commentary videos that I watched, a lot of people address like, oh yeah, these big YouTube creators are leaving because they have teams and they've outsourced the thing that they originally found fun, right? So when a YouTube creator grows, they can hire on a team, or they can start contracting things out. Like you could start with, I don't know, your accountant or something. So if you don't want to do the numbers, you could do that. You can hire a manager who's going to do the contracts, negotiation, the admin, the emails, the correspondence, blah, blah, blah. You can hire an editor. You can hire, someone to set up all your equipment, blah, blah, blah. Like I think everyone is aware of what that might look like. And these commentary videos are saying that, oh, somewhere along the way, the YouTube creator that originally liked being in 100% creative control of the process has, a lot less control because they've outsourced it to their team. And so it's just no longer fun anymore because they're not doing the thing that they originally found fun. And I think that's true. But I think a bigger thing to recognize is, again, this is an assumption because I don't know any of these people personally, but I think that the decision to quit YouTube is so much more than the decision to quit YouTube. I think it's a series of decisions, a lifetime of stuff that goes into someone finally recording the video and saying, I'm quitting YouTube, or I'm doing something else, or I'm scaling back, or whatever. There's so much that goes into that part. You're just seeing the end, right? You don't know if someone started a family, is moving to another state, maybe a family member has an illness now, maybe someone's getting divorced, maybe there's so many things that have nothing to do with YouTube that might have an effect on how someone feels about YouTube being a priority in their life. Maybe they hired someone that they don't like anymore, but you can't necessarily just like kick someone out because there's like HR laws and stuff, like there are things that can affect this that I feel go beyond someone just outsourcing the fun part. Like it's hard to explain all that. And I feel like because it's YouTube, we feel like we deserve an explanation because this platform is all about transparency and we feel connected to the creators that we watch and blah, blah, blah. But again, I think that most YouTube creators don't have a team. I think most YouTube creators don't have a whole full-on business where they have to keep the lights on and all this. Like, I think that's a lot of creators. I don't think that's most creators. I know my own goals and, aspirations and things I want to achieve and values and priorities are totally different from when I started YouTube in 2016. And I haven't even been doing it as long as some of these creators that are leaving. And so I think it is important to take a look at the fact that it seems like a lot of YouTube creators are leaving, but I don't think it's a reflection of the platform. I don't even think it's a trend. I think that there are more videos about YouTube creators leaving than there are YouTube creators leaving, especially if a lot of these commentary videos about the YouTube creators that are leaving have huge audiences, right? Like if you have a 5 million subscriber channel making a video about it, then it's gonna feel like if everyone is thinking about that now, like that YouTube creator is shining a light on this, then it feels like a trend, but I really don't think that it is. And I can tell you right now, from where I'm standing, it's never been more exciting. It's never been easier. I don't want to say doing YouTube is easy, but this is the easiest it's been compared to, starting YouTube when it was first, became a thing, to even when I was starting in 2016, because there was no precedent. I still would argue that there isn't any precedent because it changes so often for there even to be a precedent. But at least people know what a YouTube creator is. When I started in 2016, it was like, what are you doing? What's this camera for? What are you recording? Do you have permission to do this? Like, where's this going? If there's anything that I would take away from this trend of YouTube creators leaving, it's that this is like such a good thing for the content creator space as a whole, because I think it's a healthy thing for not just creators to see, not just platforms to see, but just the world. I think it's important for the world to recognize that this is not the end, right? Like, someone can come into YouTube, do it, share their creativity, be very excited, like share something that makes an impact, and then leave to the next thing, whatever that might be. And it doesn't mean it's like that person's wrong or bad, or, you know, that the content creation is uniquely stressful. Like, you can find pros and cons with every job. Yes, this job is unique, you know, like it's definitely unique, but there are also jobs that are also very, very, very stressful. And I feel like every content creator knows this. Like, we know this going in, that the platform we see today is not going to be the platform in a year and in 2 years. This is not a secret. Like, it changes so often. We know this, but we do it anyway because it's fun, right? Like, that's the thing that drives us. Now, there are people who become a content creator for money, and that's fine. Like, obviously you can do that. It's not what I would do. It happens to be what I am doing and have done for years. But I am definitely aware of the fact that this can all disappear tomorrow. I am not like fooling anybody in that this is a stable job. But I always know in the back of my mind, I always knew this when I started, that I have a transferable skill set that if the internet were to shut down, I can probably get a job doing something similar in marketing, in nonprofit, in, you know, all these other industries. Like, I'm going to be fine. And I've always had that kind of in the back of my head. So, I also know this for me, but for the people who come into this with the intention of making money, the reason why I feel, I don't know, my stomach turns a little bit, I feel a little bit of anxiety for you is because I think it's so much easier to go like get a job. It's just so much easier. Like, and here's why, right? It's so much easier to get a job. And if you want to be a business owner, right? Like, if you want to do what I'm doing and have this be your full-time thing, you're self-employed, you make money off of your YouTube channel, and it's enough to support you and your family and your lifestyle and all of that. I will tell you that it is so much easier to start a traditional business from scratch because there is precedent, right? It goes back to the precedent. So, for example, if you wanted to open up a restaurant, there is literally a plan. Doesn't matter if you're going to open up a 5-star restaurant, a mom and pop shop, a restaurant that you operate out of your own kitchen. Like, there's a foundational protocol for anyone who's opening up a food-based business. There's also laws and protections and unions and whole departments and things to protect you as the business owner, you as the restaurateur, you as the cook, right? And also the customers who give you your money, right? Who transact with your business, who eat your food. There's a whole department that like protects, food health and all of that, and safety and all of these things. There's a whole, what is it called? Like a certification to make sure that everything you're doing is above board. This is an industry, obviously, that's been around for, since people can cook for other people. But there's a precedent, right? It like every single restaurant could look totally different. But there is a foundation that, regardless of what your restaurant looks like, they are going to have these things in common. You cannot say that for YouTube. There's no protections, there's no laws, there's nothing, right? Like, if you just look at me and Tom, right? So if you don't know, Tom Buck is my husband. He's a 130,000 subscriber channel on YouTube. We actually met on YouTube, which is another reason I'm always going to be biased towards YouTube, because it introduced me to the love of my life. Anyway, if you look at the way that we do YouTube, if you look at the way that our channels generate income, totally different the way that we do it. And that's just us, right? if you look at everybody else, everybody is going to do it differently, which makes it hard for someone new or someone, who wants to come in here and be like, I want to do it the way that you do it. In a world where there isn't, a thing like a template where everyone looks different, like every channel is different, then anyone who talks about how they do it, it kind of makes it feel like that's the way that you should do it, right? So if someone says like, hey, I started making tutorials about this, and now I have an online course, and I do coaching calls, and I also have like a podcast and whatever. Someone who's watching that and is new to content creation, it's easy for them to be like, oh, that's the way that you see success. Like, I have to follow that. But I promise you, I can find someone who's doing none of those things and is seeing just as much success, if not more. That's the thing, right? That's the tricky part, is that it feels like there's precedent. It feels like we're in a time where there is precedent because it's been around long enough where if you talk to anybody on the street, what is a YouTube creator? I think they know what it is, right? They have a picture in their head, but it hasn't been around long enough where someone who's doing it can do exactly what that person is doing, or a person could try to do exactly what someone else is doing and they would see success. No, they could try to do exactly what they're doing and maybe they see success, maybe they don't. Or someone can do it exactly opposite and see success or don't. That's why I think it's better that if you want to have your own business, go into a freaking industry that is established. If you go try to find a lawyer, an accountant, and you say that you want to open up a restaurant, they'll have the packets for you. Like, they'll know exactly what to tell you. Guaranteed, if I try to find a new accountant in a 50-mile radius of me, and I say what I do, I will probably be the first content creator that they have worked with. Like, I would bet everything on that. I'm assuming, I know, but I would bet everything on that. So again, I feel like I'm starting to go in circles and ramble, but my point is, like, I think that this is a good thing that creators are leaving, because it's that thing. I feel like our industry is starting to be normalized, right? Like, people get into accounting and then they leave, or they get into the medical field and then they leave. Our industry, if we want to treat it like a legitimate job, should also be, right, a place where you can come in and leave. Like, I think that makes it a healthy industry. I think that's a sign of a healthy industry. Another thing that's talked about in these videos, these commentary videos about YouTube creators leaving, is like, how can we ensure our longevity as YouTube creators? What can we do to kind of future-proof, our channels and make it so we can create for as long as possible? And so they'll say things like, don't outsource the fun part, or whatever. Like, find what where's the part of this process that you find the most enjoyment, and obviously keep that to yourself. Like, don't let anybody else do that, because that's the driving force behind what gets you to be creative. The thing that I'll also say is, like, there was a time where not everyone had a smartphone, and that's not like the previous generation. That's me. Like, I was alive when not everyone had a smartphone. I was alive. I remember doing my very first live stream. That is a thing that didn't happen when I was 10. Like, it happened relatively recently. I remember when YouTube did not have short form content. And that's a thing that all of us should remember, because it wasn't that long ago. And now AI is a huge concern. Yes. But also, like, I think, I don't know. I don't want to invalidate people feeling stressed out about being a content creator, but the idea that there was ever any security in the first place is just false. Like, it always has been something that is constantly changing, even from its inception. Like, for all these, legacy YouTube creators that have been here forever, they had no idea what the heck they were doing. I don't even think there was any money in it to begin with. Like, back then, there was no, we have the awesome AdSense system, and you might think it's weird or you might hate it, whatever, but like they're just nothing. There was no option. And they had to go through, all right, figuring it out. How do we do this? And then short form content got introduced. Okay, now it's monetizable, whatever. This platform changes all the time. And so you can say, here's all the ways to future-proof your YouTube channel. But anyone who made this same video 2 years ago, everything that they said to do in that video is probably outdated. And I don't, again, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I just think that if you're doing this full time, or you want to, you have to understand that this is a street that does not exist. Like, you're building your business on a street that exists in space, that is like flying by, and you happen to catch on and you can do what you want, but like it has no idea where it's going. And like even YouTube doesn't know what's happening. Like there are so many things that can make it change. Yes, YouTube can be like, hey, shorts are now a thing, and that's a YouTube decision. But the only reason why that was a YouTube decision was because TikTok became a thing. And now it's a YouTube decision, right? So that's a decision that was like completely not even on the table. And there's also so many like trends and formats that get introduced from creators, right? Like creators being creative. And then, that spurs like, oh, maybe live stream should be a thing. And now there's whole channels that are just completely funded and built on live streaming. My point is, being a content creator has always been volatile. Always. There's never been any sense of security. And I think that if we want to legitimize, right? If we want content creation to be a long-term career, then I think it's a good thing. I think it is a good sign that people are leaving, because that is true for every other industry. So here's how I'd wrap this up. Number one is, I think the average creator is someone like me, someone that you've probably never heard of because they're relatively small. They have a relatively small audience, but they're doing their thing, right? Like they're sharing content about the thing that they're passionate about. They've managed to put together all these weird sources of income that like someone can try to mimic or not. There's someone who's doing it completely different, has none of those streams of income and can see success. But overall, I think there is a creator middle class. There's someone who's just like relatively small and, making a substantial amount of money where it's either part-time or full-time, or this is their business. I don't know, maybe they have one team member, maybe they don't, maybe they're still solo. But I think that person is a better reflection of the average YouTube creator. You just don't know who they are because they have a relatively small audience. And I think that person is fine, is doing great, and if I'm speaking from my experience, like I said earlier, I think this is the most exciting time. I think all these new trends and tools, like I think this is just proving that, especially on YouTube, I think it's the best platform to create content on. In terms of consumer behavior, more people are coming online, right? It wasn't that long ago where it was weird to meet your partner online or to start dating someone that you met on the internet. That was like super weird before. Now that's like, I think a lot of people, not want to say most, a lot of people meet someone that they're going to start dating online. There was a time where buying something online was weird. I think most people, I feel like I can make this assumption. I think most people have bought at least one thing online. I'd go so far to say, I think most people, actually, I won't say most here. I think a lot of people have bought something from a platform like YouTube, whether it was a content creator, influencer, or an Instagram ad or something like that. Even my mom bought our Christmas presents from a Facebook ad. Before, I remember the time where it was like, okay, people's attention spans are fading, so we have to make the content as short as possible. We have to put in all these cuts. We have to, you have to change the visual every 2 seconds. You have to like make it super crazy and whatever. But, I think that video podcasts are now a thing. All the commentary videos I saw about YouTube creators quitting were like 15, 20 plus minutes long. And I sat there through the whole thing. And I think that's good. You know, I think it's cool that in a time where it feels like everything is so fast to the point where people would say, oh, people's attention spans are fading. No, there's totally still a place for us to be able to have these deeper conversations. And that's what I believe, right? I believe that regardless of all the trends and the platform changes and all that, I feel like people are going to be people. They're always going to crave real, genuine connection at the end of the day. And I feel like these tools allow us to do that in a way that nothing else does. And I will always, like, that's the thing that I always gravitate to. And that's why I think it's such an exciting time, because all of these new tools and stuff are just making it so we can continue doing that. You know, I don't think that this is a time to be scared or worry about future proofing or anything like that. I think, you know, advice I would give to myself is to just continue having fun. If someone who was, say, my age, right, 38 years old, wanted to tell me like, hey, I'm going to get into painting because it can be very lucrative, right? Like you can sell your paintings for thousands of dollars. You can be in galleries. You can come out with merch. Like it's going to be super lucrative, right? I feel like people would be like, huh? Like, I mean, it can be, but I feel like that, you know, I feel like you need to have a plan. You should have some backup things. Like, what are you going to do in the meantime? That's how I feel about YouTube, right? It's like if a 38-year-old person wanted to come up to me and say, like, I want to start a YouTube channel. Oh my God, did you hear that? My throat just did a thing. I don't know what that was. If a 30-year-old person was like, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel because I'm super passionate about gardening, I'd be like, dude, you should start that. Like, you're totally not going to regret it. I think it's going to allow you to be creative in a way that you never have been before. It's so fulfilling to see yourself, like to challenge yourself and see what you're capable of, right? Like I feel like YouTube, like creating YouTube videos is such a fun place to explore that side of you. But if someone was like, hey, you know, I want to start a YouTube channel because I want this to be my full-time job, that's when I'd be like, you know, honestly, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, like if money is the thing that's driving you and you have a bachelor's degree, like you can be a full-time teacher in a year, you know, like just go do that because you're probably going to make money faster than you would on YouTube. But if someone told me, hey, you know, I'm 38 years old, I want to start painting. I don't know. I just have an itch. I want to try this creative thing. I'm going to start. Cool. Make a painting every day. Like challenge yourself to learn how other painters have done it, right? Mimic them until you find your own style, until you find your own individuality, and then get to the point where you can get into flow state and you're just lost and like time passes and all of a sudden there's a painting in front of you and then just do that over and over again. That's what I would tell someone who wants to get into YouTube now or is doing YouTube and wants to continue doing YouTube. Is YouTube a thing where you can get into this state of flow, right? And you could just like get lost and level up in your own way with your own content and have fun and push, you know, get that fulfillment of challenging yourself and seeing what you're capable of. Like, do you still get that sense of fulfillment? Because if you do, you're going to be fine. You're totally going to be fine. You can do YouTube as long as you want. Because here's the other thing about YouTube is that it's 100% totally voluntary. No one is making you make YouTube videos. That is, I mean, every single time you create, it is a choice that you are making. You could say like, oh my gosh, I have to, you know, I have to create because of this reason, that reason, I have to do this. But at the end of the day, no one is forcing you to pick up that camera. That is your choice. And that's why, again, going back to the big YouTube creators leaving, if they no longer feel that pull, that purpose, that passion to pick up the camera, they probably shouldn't be doing it anymore, right? Like, why force it? What if they get that sense of fulfillment? Gardening. They should go garden. You know, like they should be able to go and garden and start a YouTube channel if they want to. I don't even know if this made any sense, but if there's one thing that I could say is a takeaway, is that there is a creator middle class. There are several creators that you've never heard of that are having the best time with their YouTube channel, that are being challenged in a way that they don't get to be challenged in their lives, which is why they express themselves through their YouTube channel. And they are just going, like, they're just sticking the path. And it doesn't matter if big YouTubers are leaving or not, or trends are coming or not. Like, we're all just still going. But you won't hear of us because we're not big enough for big commentary channels to make commentary about us. At the end of the day, like I said, YouTube introduced me to the love of my life. And I would have never met Tom if not for YouTube. We just would have never crossed paths. And he found a YouTube video that I made about a boosted board. Boom, this. And then he left me a comment, we connected, and now we've been married. We're about to be married 4 years. Oh my gosh. I get to connect with people all around the world that I would have never, there's no way we could ever meet. But YouTube allows me to connect with those people and for them to become my clients, my friends, for us to just connect over this thing that we're super passionate about. I will always be the person, and call me a blind optimist, but like I will always be the person that's gonna think like, I can't believe I get to do this, because my entire life I was told that I have to go to a job, and a job is supposed to suck. And that's just a thing that is part of life, right? Like, you just have to get a job and you go to work and it sucks, and then you come home, you get paid, and you just do that until you die, basically. And the fact that I get to like have my own business, connecting with all these really cool people, making an impact, and being creative as my job, I totally feel like I'm cheating the system. So like, I'm gonna milk it out as long as I can. And that's the perspective I have. And I know, it's, I don't know, you can call it optimistic, you can call it whatever. But again, I think that I want to say that all the creators I know look a little bit more like me than they do the creators who are leaving. And I think that these big creators don't, I just think that they're the little tip of the iceberg right up there. And everyone else doesn't look like that. Everyone else is just like, dude, are we, like, look how cool this is, right? Like, check out this camera. Like, here's this nerdy thing that we're going to nerd about. Or, I don't know, maybe you guys are, connecting over the content that you make. I will always be thankful that this platform exists. I don't know. You can call me biased, but I'm speaking from where I'm standing. And that's what I wanted to add to the conversation. So I don't know if that made sense, but yeah, thanks for watching. With that said, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.